Oh, hello everybody. Welcome back. Corgi XP here, and I am super excited to get into our next episode of our Data Pack Dash, where we talk about advancements. Advancements are so powerful because they can do so many things, such as figuring out if we ate something, figuring out if we crafted something, figuring out if we killed something, figuring out if we got something in our inventory, stuff like that. There is so much that custom advancements can do. So for example, if I actually open up our advancement tab, I don't have any others right now, but as you can see, I created a custom one called Eggnog. And if we look over our current one, we've already learned this first one because this is basically just setting up the advancement chain that we need in order to see, this window. And basically what this chain is going to do is allow us to gain advancements for learning, for crafting, and eventually drinking our custom eggnog. And as you can see, it's just a potion with a custom color on it. So basically what will happen is once we learn or find the needed items to actually learn the recipe, which I set the recipe to just needing eggs and milk. I know obviously in real life eggnog is made differently, but just to keep it simple, we're just using eggs and milk. So once we get those needed items in our inventory, what's going to happen is it's going to unlock this advancement. We're going to gain the advancement, and it's going to unlock that actual eggnog recipe. Then what will happen is we're going to then be able to craft the eggnog. So once we craft it, we'll earn this recipe called crafting the eggnog. And then once we actually craft it, another advancement will pop up right here called drink eggnog. And once we drink it, we'll earn that advancement and earn 50 experience, which is super cool. But to keep things basic for right now, we'll just go ahead and do a very basic consume item one, just so you guys can see what advancements look like. And again, miso generator, which I'll link in the description, has the ability to create pretty much any custom advancement that you need, and you can set up multiple ones in that chain, which you just saw momentarily ago. So grab that notebook, drop a subscribe, drop a like, join our Discord, and let's get right on into it. So right now we'll just do something very basic where we consume an item. So for instance, let's say carrot. Whenever we get something in our inventory, as you can see, we have nothing in here, but if it's a craftable item, it'll unlock a recipe in the crafting table. So as you can see right now, we don't have anything available, but let's go ahead and grab a carrot. So if we grab a carrot, notice how new recipe unlocked on the top right. So now if we look in here, we can now see that this carrot can be crafted, and with it being crafted, we now have carrot on a stick. So essentially, anytime your inventory changes with something that can be crafted into something else, you'll open up a recipe book. However, what you can also do is allow a certain recipe slash advancement to unlock a recipe based on how many things you actually get in your inventory. So outside of the eating of this carrot, which I'll show in a second, we can actually say, okay, once we find the appropriate egg and the appropriate milk bucket, that's when it'll actually unlock the eggnog recipe, instead of regularly doing it just for finding one egg or one milk bucket. You can actually have it set to find both through a custom advancement, which is super neat. But for now, let's just do the eating of the carrot. So let's go ahead and open up our VS Code. And as you can see, I currently have a couple folders that we created since last time. I've created what's called advancement, and I've created what's called recipe. So under recipe, this is where we set custom recipes if we want to specifically craft something new. Advancement is where all of your custom advancements are going to be. So before we get into the recipe real quick for the whole eggnog process, let's just go into our eat carrot advancement, which I created right here. Excuse me. And we'll go over exactly what it's doing. So in a advancement, we can set a bunch of different things. So you can set a display, which is what gives you that custom window, which we saw with that eggnog. You can set requirements where if you want any specific criteria to trigger that advancement, especially if you have a multiple criteria, then it'll, correctly trigger that advancement. Rewards is if you want something specifically to run, such as a function, giving experience, unlocking a recipe, stuff like that. So in this very basic format, all this is doing is our criteria is what's called eat carrot. The trigger for eat carrot is Minecraft consume item. So basically this is going to trigger anytime a consume happens of a specific item. If you did not have conditions right here set, anytime you ate something, so it could be a carrot, could be an apple, could be, something else, that reward would end up triggering because that advancement, just the trigger, would be true. So what you would need to set is conditions, where under our conditions, we're setting what's called an item, and our items is going to be Minecraft carrot. So anytime now we eat a carrot, it's going to call this reward and the function of my pack 8 carrot. So under our function folder, I created what's called 8 carrot, and all it's doing is say I ate a carrot. And as you can see also, it does say advancement revoke at S, which is the selector of who actually triggers the advancement. So advancements is always going to be triggered by a player. So at S will always be your selector for the most part, depending on what else exactly you're doing. So at S is always going to trigger because a player is the one who is triggering those advancements. So basically what this is telling us is it's revoking that eat carrot advancement. So anytime we now eat a carrot over and over again, it's going to say I ate a carrot. If you did not have this revoke in there, then you would only be able to eat that carrot and get that advancement one time. So let's go ahead and get back in game. And if we eat this carrot, you'll see I say I ate a carrot. Since we revoked that advancement, if I eat another carrot, I ate a carrot. If we did not revoke that advancement, you would only see I ate a carrot or whatever actions that you're doing one time. So if you want to repeat a certain advancement, make sure that you revoke that advancement every single time that you're calling a function based on what your reward is going to be. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit more of an advanced setup. So let me go ahead and reopen our VS Code. We're not going to go into full detail on the recipe. Recipe is actually going to be our next episode, where we go over custom recipes, the different types of recipes that you can make, and how exactly, to do it. But I will show you real quick how our eggnog one is set up. So we're using what's called crafting shaped. Crafting shaped allows you to set a specific pattern, and you have to follow that specific pattern in order to get the option of or your reward based on what you're making. Biggest thing with custom recipes is you cannot set custom information from the ingredients. So the ingredients for a custom recipe, unless you do it a different way, such as an on-ground recipe type, you can only use base items, which is, okay, but at the same time, you might have, like, let's say, a recipe where you specifically want custom items to be used. You would have to do what's called on-ground or, on something type crafting in order to do that, which again, not this episode, we'll get into that a little bit later. But you could use predicates for that, for instance, to do that. Right now, again, this is just, very simple. We're not going to go fully into detail of that. But just so you know, any custom recipes can only use default items. Otherwise, your result, or what you actually craft, can be fully custom. So what we're basically telling this is we put eggs. So E is our key for E in the pattern, which is going to be an egg. And the M key in the pattern is milk bucket. So if you put eggs around a milk bucket, it's going to craft what's called the potion. We're giving it a custom name of eggnog, a color of yellow, bold true, italic false. So the custom name on that potion is going to be called eggnog in yellow font. We're giving it custom data because anytime you set custom data, that's going to allow you to use advancements much easier and trigger certain things based on custom data. So anytime you craft something custom, please use custom data. It makes things so much easier. So we set eggnog true as our custom data, and the potion contents is just going to be, we're just going to use luck, and we have this custom color, which is kind of like this tan-ish, color, which kind of looks like a milky, tannish, eggnog color. So basically what this is doing is this is our custom recipe for eggnog. And what's going to happen is we won't actually learn this recipe until our learn eggnog advancement triggers. So if we go ahead and learn eggnog right here. So basically what this is doing is it's creating our, display, which we had from this one right here. So this is kind of our main advancement right here. So this display is basically telling it to show a potion. We don't need to set any specific things for that potion because whenever you highlight anything over the advancement window, it's not going to show you specifically like, custom data, stuff like that. All we need to show it is that custom color that we have, because that window doesn't matter in terms of actually like using the item and stuff like that. So we just want to see that custom color potion. The title of that window is eggnog. The description of it was the learning, crafting, and drinking the eggnog, which we saw in game a moment ago. The background is sand, so on that window is always going to be sand. The frame is a task, and I'll show you what the frame means momentarily when we go back in game. The show toast is false because we don't want it to show every single tick, that we're receiving, this advancement. And then announce to chat is false because we don't want chat to know that this is a custom advancement window, because all this is doing is setting up that window to be used to see when we get those different advancements. So this is kind of like the basic version of what we saw in terms of that window first. So this eggnog.json advancement file is now what's called our parent. And this can be used in the rest of the advancements depending on which line you want your parent to be. So for our learned eggnog, we essentially just copy the exact same display as eggnog, but we just change some things differently. So for instance, our title for this one is Unlock Eggnog Recipe because we want to unlock it. The description for it is find the needed items to learn your eggnog recipe. So that's just giving a different, name, of it. The frame is, instead of being a task, it's the challenge, because we basically want it to be a challenge type advancement. We show toast is true because we want a notification to show. And if you wanted to announce to chat, we can do true as well. So for this one, we're just going to do true for both of those. And as you can see, parent is my pack eggnog. So what's it's going to do is it's going to attach learn eggnog to that main eggnog advancement and that window. So it's attached to it. And this basically learn eggnog advancement is now quote unquote the child of the main eggnog advancement. So as you can see, our criteria here is instead of it being the trigger or Minecraft tick, we've now changed it to inventory changed because we want to check for any changed inventory. What we could have done is we could have set, just egg or just milk bucket. But if you set it up this way, now we have to find an egg and a milk bucket in order for our reward to function. And that reward is going to open up the recipe called my pack eggnog, which is this recipe right here. So until we actually get an egg, until we get a milk bucket, this advancement will not trigger. This recipe will not unlock. So real quick, if we go back in game, notice how when we got the carrot, it unlocked this. However, if we just do egg, actually, let me get a couple more. It did unlock a recipe, but it's only the cake one. It's not our custom eggnog one, because again, it's not going to trigger until we also get the milk bucket. So as soon as we get the milk bucket, or our inventory changes with both the egg and the milk bucket, you will notice that we get the advancement. We'll get the little notification on the top right, and when we open this, unlock eggnog recipe will become active. So task is this kind of like square shape, challenge is kind of like this, star shape, and then the other frame will kind of look like, these, where it's basically just a goal. So the goal is this blue one, where the goal is tame an animal. So it's going to look like this one, just blue instead. So now let's go ahead and actually get the milk bucket. And then as soon as we get the milk bucket, if I could spell, there we go. We've now gotten the challenge, unlock eggnog recipe, challenge complete. There is that notification. The recipe is now unlocked. And if we open up this, we'll now see that we've gotten that unlock eggnog recipe advancement. Another one just opened up called drink eggnog, because at the time we can only see 2 max challenges per line, depending on what you have actually opened. So as soon as another one gets cleared, that's when you see another 2 that are available to you. So now that we have that recipe, we can actually craft it. Once we get the crafted done, we'll be able to drink it, and then once we drink it, we are now technically done with this eggnog window. And as you can see, eggnog and eggnog right here is that window from there. We didn't see this part up here at the top left because we didn't have these other advancements. So if you only have one advancement at a time, you won't actually see this tab up here unless you have other advancements happening at the same time. So that's why we didn't see this eggnog part up here on the potion earlier, but now we do because we have other tabs that we've opened. So let's go ahead and open up VS Code again. And now what I'll show you is our crafting one. So when we open up crafting, you'll see that display looks pretty much exactly the same. However, our title now is craft eggnog. We craft eggnog as our description. Same background of the sand, same frame, challenge. We could change this to, goal, whatever. Same thing. We'll see the toast. We'll see the announced chat. But for our criteria, for our parent, instead of it being eggnog, we're attaching it to learn eggnog. So now this is the child for craft. The parent is learn. So basically learn is attached to eggnog and craft is attached to learn. Otherwise, what would happen is, let's say we changed craft to the parent of eggnog, it would show it above the learn eggnog advancement that we saw in game, rather than on the same line. So it would be basically kind of like L-shaped essentially, or a J shape, rather than a straight line. And I'll show you that on a different, tab momentarily. And as you can see, our criteria has now changed to, instead of being inventory changed, it's now recipe crafted, because now we're checking to see if a craft has been done, and our condition for that specific recipe being crafted is the My Pack Eggnog, which is this one right here, which creates our actual eggnog potion. So as soon as we craft this recipe, we're going to earn the craft eggnog advancement. So let's go ahead and get back in game. And real quick, I'll just show you what I meant earlier by being on top. So it would look like something like this. Notice how these are like on top of each other based on this. So it would look something like this rather than in a line if the craft eggnog parent was still set as eggnog rather than learn eggnog. So let's go ahead and now craft. And once we actually craft this, you'll see that we earn the notification, and we learn that challenge, and we earn that advancement. There we go. Challenge complete. Craft eggnog. Craft eggnog has been completed. And if we open up the advancement window, we have now completed craft eggnog. Excellent. Excuse me. And then finally, if we reopen our VS Code, I'll show you our final one, which is our drink eggnog. So display looks pretty much exactly the same. However, title is now drink eggnog. Description is drink some eggnog. Same thing, frame challenge, show toast true. Announce the chat true. Again, you can make any of these, whatever you want. It doesn't have to be sand. It could be like stone. It could be, grass, whatever you essentially want it to be. Parent, again, is going to be craft eggnog because we want this attached to the previous advancement that we've learned rather than being, above each other that we saw from that other tab. Our criteria now is instead consume item. So now anytime we consume item, similar to our eat carrot one, but instead of it being carrot, we now have it set as potion. But remember how we set the custom data in this recipe to eggnog true for custom data? Under consume item for that potion, we can set the component to custom data eggnog true. So this will not trigger if any other potion actually, is, used. It'll only find a potion with that specific custom data of eggnog true. If it's true, we'll earn 50 experience as soon as we drink it, and we'll earn that advancement. So real quick, let's go ahead and get back in game, and let me go ahead and give myself another potion real fast just so you guys can see. Let's do there you go, potion of I want healing. There you go, potion of strength. Let's go ahead and also change it to survival. So as you can see, I currently have 4 levels and whatever amount of experience that is. This will not trigger that advancement because this does not have the custom data. It only gave me that strength. However, if I use the eggnog, since it does have that custom data, our 4 should end up changing because I don't know exactly how much 50 experience is. But if we now use this, there we go. So it gave us a level of 7 because it gave us 50 experience. And we now have drink eggnog. We got the notification on the top right. And now we have that advancement. So now our entire eggnog line has been completed. And that's how you can create your own custom advancements. Again, it is super powerful. You can do consume item, you can do craft item, you can do like locational based advancements. So like for instance, let's say, you set up like exploration, on a map. If a player goes all the way over there, if a player goes all the way over there, all the way over there, you can set like advancement for explorations, and they get like explore entire continent advancement, if they've, done that, stuff like that. So again, there's so much that advancements, can do. Thank you guys so much for today's episode. Next episode, we'll go all into custom recipes, and some other ways that you can do a recipe, not just through a crafting table. You can set a whole bunch of different other crafting options, and we'll show you how to do the on-ground crafting. So for example, if we threw down a carrot, and an egg, those two can be combined together, to craft something, on the ground, especially if you have, something completely custom, that you want to make, because again, custom recipes cannot take custom information in the ingredients, only in the actual like crafted item itself. So that's the only unfortunate part, but for the most part, it's not too bad. So again, thank you all so much. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments, join the Discord, drop a sub, drop a like. I'll see you all next episode. Bye.